Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Top-ranked Bob Arum, a.k.a. Bobby Arum, a.k.a. the Bob Father, is reluctant to put Teofimo Lopez versus Subriel Matias on ESPN pay-per-view. Now, ladies and gentlemen, look, this fight should have happened Super Bowl week 2024 when they did give Subriel Matias an offer while he was champion, and he came up with an injury saying that, la mano me duele, my hand is no good, it's hurt and injured. You know what I'm saying? But I think that he was just trying to kill time to see what type of deal he wants to take, whether the top-ranked deal that was on the table or the Matchroom Boxing deal, which was on the table, and which eventually he took, but then later lost to Liam Piro, and then they had to drop him. There's a good matchup. And I know by Bob Arum saying that he's reluctant to put this on pay-per-view, is actually giving Teofimo Lopez haters some ammo. You know, they always say in reference to Teofimo Lopez not selling arenas, not packing arenas. He's a theater fighter. He hasn't done no pay-per-view. You know, he has his contemporaries like Ryan Garcia has done pay-per-view, Gervonta Davis, Devin Haney, and all those and some of those guys also throw that to Teofimo Lopez's face. In which when Teofimo Lopez is calling out for these fights and Top Rank sending out offers in his behalf, people always want to say that, well, Teofimo Lopez doesn't sell. But let's not forget that Teofimo Lopez, when he did fight Vasily Lomachenko during the pandemic, did 4.2, 4.3 views in America, 4.2 million views in America, which is still holds the most viewed boxing bout on network television on free TV. Let me tell you like this. If it wasn't for the pandemic, that fight would have took place on March 30th, I believe so, in Madison Square Garden. And I think with the momentum that Vasily Lomachenko had and what Teofimo Lopez had after him knocking out Richard Comey in the same building in Madison Square Garden, I think it would have been a sold-out crowd. And we wouldn't be talking about if he's a theater fighter, but it would have been that he would have sold out the big room in Madison Square Garden. As we all know, that was a hot ticket, eventually a hot ticket, and that one could have been on pay-per-view as well. It's unfortunate the pandemic happened while Teofimo Lopez was having the biggest opportunity of his career to really take over, right? He's highly accomplished. He's the most accomplished fighter of this young generation. Already got a Hall of Fame resume, but it's not translating to the box office, right? It is what it is, right? I don't get it. Maybe because he's from Honduras descent. And, Honduras is not really a boxing country. You know what I'm saying? It's not like Mexico. It's not like Puerto Rico. It's not even Cuba. It's not like Ireland. It's not like the UK. It doesn't have a real large boxing fan base. And then he's from New York, but he's also from Florida. You know what I'm saying? So it really doesn't have a real home base in terms of, even though that he does good in New York, and did well in the theater out there in Miami. But it feels like, you know what I'm saying, like he's like a stepchild to New York, a stepchild to Miami. You know what I'm saying? It seems like that, right? But he's an extreme talent and very entertaining. Now, is this fight Subriel Matias versus Teofimo Lopez is it a pay-per-view fight? It could have been a pay-per-view fight. It would have happened if it was a unification bout when Subriel Matias really was getting that type of the boogeyman. Yo, he's gonna be everybody. He's this scary guy, this Terminator and stuff like that. There was an aura with Subriel Matias in which that aura is no longer there. And I don't think that out of all the really Puerto Rican fighters, it doesn't seem like there was a steam. With Subriel Matias and Puerto Rico. You know what I'm saying? It's not like the way that Puerto Rico embraces Amanda Serrano, the 7th Division World Champion, featherweight champion, and the GOAT of women boxing, right? The GOAT is Amanda Serrano, yeah. I don't think that Subriel Matias even captivated the imaginations of the Puerto Rican fans, like even Edgar Berlanga. I believe that people even talk more about Xander Zayas than Subriel Matias. So I think that there's a play in that assessment if the reason why Teofimo Lopez or Subriel Matias is not a pay-per-view right now. It could have been a pay-per-view attraction. Now, of course, they've been putting pay-per-view events in which it's not really pay-per-view events. You know what I'm saying? PBC have put pay-per-view events for Gervonta Davis that a lot of people felt that it wasn't a pay-per-view. It should have never been a pay-per-view event, right? Frank Martin versus Gervonta Davis. Is it a pay-per-view event? But Gervonta Davis does have a loyal fan base, a niche fan base that's going to come show up in the box office and going to have some decent pay-per-view in terms of, in today's day and age, was good pay-per-view numbers or decent pay-per-view numbers. Look, they're about to put Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach March 1st pay-per-view. Regis Progress versus Devin Haney, you know what I'm saying? They flopped. There's a lot of flops as a pay-per-view. And why go into the pay-per-view and flop? If you don't, you know what I'm saying, get over a certain amount, are you going to get a pay-per-view back and the money? We don't know. I do believe that Subriel Matias is tailor-made for Teofimo Lopez. Tailor-made to the point where if you do put it on free TV, and I know that Subriel Matias is going to come forward, he can't fight off the back foot. He's going to give Teofimo Lopez everything for Teofimo Lopez to look good, for Teofimo Lopez to capitalize, because Teofimo Lopez is good off the back foot. He could throw down. He could throw down. He could outbox him. You know what I'm saying? Teofimo Lopez is good when there's a fighter that's trying to approach him, trying to get him, trying to engage with him and stuff like that. And now that you think about the fight that he last had with Steve Claggett, right? A lot of people was critiquing him for picking that type of opponent. But now if you really think about it, that's the perfect opponent for a tune-up for a Subriel Matias. So in that sense, the Steve Claggett fight was a great fight for Teofimo Lopez, right? Because, again, in the sport of boxing, not every fight is the best fight in the best. There's stay busy fights. There's tune-up fights. Steve Claggett versus Teofimo Lopez, that was the perfect tune-up fight for Subriel Matias, right? For Teofimo Lopez to fight Subriel Matias. So I think that if Teofimo Lopez performed on free TV in front of the Madison Square Garden crowd, with the Puerto Rican crowd, Latino crowd, and do the type of performance like he did with Josh Taylor, I think it's going to be an incredible performance. I think it will be a good service for Teofimo Lopez. And then later on this year, 2025, he could get a crack at a Ryan Garcia, in which Ryan Garcia, I believe, is going to go through surgery. So he's probably going to be back probably in the summer, late summer, and that will give a good time frame of Teofimo Lopez versus Ryan Garcia, in which Bob Arum, Oscar De La Hoya have alluded into that's a possible fight that could take place. Maybe Devin Haney will, you know what I'm saying, will have the balls or the particular fortitude to actually accept an offer from Top Rank and Teofimo Lopez. That fight could have eventually happened, or maybe we get the best fight, in my opinion, of this generation that could offer is the Teofimo Lopez versus Gervonta Davis, right? So I think that Teofimo Lopez should take this opportunity to really, you know what I'm saying, he's already in shape, going to training camp, have that game plan to look spectacular versus Subriel Matias, and, you know, captivate the imagination, the emotions of the boxing fans. Give us that type of performance like you did with Magdaleno, like you gave that performance when you knocked out Richard Comey. See, if the mass boxing fans see that Teofimo Lopez once again, because of course the fight with Ortiz and Steve Claggett really it wasn't a statement type of performance. If he gives that type of performance versus Subriel Matias, I'm talking about the takeover performance, the takeover 2.0. Now that he's with Canelo team, he's going to be sparring and training with Canelo Alvarez. He got Eddie Reynoso, which his father, Teofimo Lopez Sr., plus Eddie Reynoso equals the takeover 2.0. I think it's going to be an incredible... I think the tables are set for Teofimo Lopez to actually take over 2025, in my opinion. If he beats Subriel Matias and, again, get a fight with Ryan Garcia or Gervonta Davis or even the Devin Haney and beat them, I'm gonna tell you like this: Teofimo Lopez will be fighter of the year once again, like the year that he beat Vasily Lomachenko. Let me know what y'all think, man. This is Punch Drunk Boxing, a.k.a. Mr. Moonshine himself, a.k.a. El Adobo, El Sazón, El Borracho, El Pastor de Boxeo.